Well, I'm Aria Raphael, and so nice to meet all of you. I do know at least one friendly face in there. I'm going to give you the information on how to connect with me further first, like you said, Greg, because that way I don't forget. And we'll also do a meditation after, toward the end. So just in case we're all sort of chilled out, here's my website. And you can find out more information about me there, but also sign up for my newsletter if what I share is of interest to you. I often send out channeled content and as well exercises and distinctions and information. And then there's lots of other ways to connect with me as well. So, and you can always send me a message, an email from there as well. So a little bit about me first. I received, I guess you could say, my first big awakening in 2006, which is when I took my first really big transformational course, and my channeling and mediumship gifts opened up then. I interacted with my gifts for a little bit. However, I was actually pretty scared of them based upon just what was occurring at the time. I didn't have any distinction and support to really figure it out at that moment. So I said no for a while. I was being trained in some other things and modalities and coaching and what have you. And then I finally said yes a few years later, and then have learned a lot. So today obviously is about the art of being an empath. And as someone who is psychic, highly intuitive, someone who is a channeler, but then also empathic and highly sensitive to energy, like really, really sensitive. It's been a very interesting journey to learn all of the aligned ways to operate and a variety of different tools so that I could be taking care of myself while contributing what I want to or need to or am called to in the world. And then also in being present with and for others, whether it's my loved ones or even with people I work in sessions. So yeah, lot to obviously distinguish in the world of the empathic, the things that we can't actually see, you know, the emotions and the energy. I thought we could start here actually, which is to give you an opportunity to write some things down for you. If you have a notebook, if you're just on your computer, of course, you can just pull open your notes or something like that. And the reason I thought we could start here is because it can help you to set a little intention for yourself. Whether not necessarily in this 30-minute presentation, but just even in life in general. And you might have long since distinguished that you are someone who is empathic or highly sensitive, or it might be something that you're newly distinguishing, which is also awesome. But as far as you can tell, what are your greatest challenges in being empathic that you have discovered thus far, or you are struggling with, or what have you? And you can just write this down. So again, writing it down is, what am I challenged by? And then you can see, okay, great. Well, I need a solution for that then, you know, wherever you end up finding it. So just take a moment, and then I'll share some of my challenges. Go ahead and take a moment to write down, what are some of your challenges in being empathic? Great. What are your concerns, if any? Do you have any concerns about being empathic, or things that come to your heart and mind? Great. And what are some, I'm obviously going more quickly, you can always take time further afterwards or another day. What are some practices that you already have in place? Maybe just a good way to remind yourself that you do already have some tools. So what are some practices you already have, or tools to support you as someone who is empathic? Okay, great. And if I'm interrupting your train of thought, please forgive me. But the last question is, what would you like to learn? So what would you like to further distinguish or learn? Obviously, it does not have to be today, but just in general. Okay, great. Wonderful. You can always add to the list further if you'd like to later. So I'm going to share with you just a couple. There's a long list of things that I have had challenges with being an empath over the years, but I'll share just a couple and a little bit of distinction. So the first one that actually had my awareness really expand and that I was as sensitive as I was, but was that my energy was too open. And what was happening was at that time, without giving you too much detail in the story at this moment, there were a lot of negative people that were starting to come in, and it was extraordinarily disruptive for me. So I had to learn how to not close my energy. It's not like we want to be closed hearted or anything like that, but to be able to maintain my own safe space, my own safe container, my own energetic boundary so that I could be, call it autonomous within my own space and then still be safe in the world and also, be taking care of myself and being present to others. So that was just this openness. I distinguished that. And then the other challenge for me was and has been that my desire to show my loyalty to others would have me over connect to them emotionally to show my empathy. And then that would I'd realize I'd be there for a while and it would completely take me out of my own alignment, right? So that was a couple of quick examples for me. Would anybody be willing to share just what one of the challenges is that you experience in being empathic? Yeah. Hi, Marcia. Oh, you're muted there, Marcia. Can you unmute there? No, you can't. Okay. Sorry, friend, we can't hear you otherwise. There you go.
Okay. Are you unmuting me? Okay, great. Some of the things that the challenges of being empathic is the fact that I remember too much of the conversations, and it makes me not sleep at night sometimes. And like I can remember a conversation with somebody that happened like 10, 15 years ago. I know exactly what it was about and everything about it,
Yeah.
And like if I meet somebody and I know that they're struggling, I worry about what their struggle is.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I get.
Yeah, so that's a couple of things. It's great being empathic, but geez,
it's great,
but
geez, exactly.
Yeah.
It's both, right? Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Marcia. I really get all of that. I also relate to that part about not being able to sleep. And I'll share just a little bit here about some things that I do to support me. But yeah, I will otherwise be up all hours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcia, for sharing. Anybody else? I'm muting you again. Excuse me, Marcia. Anybody else would like to share? Amethyst, I love that it's amethyst, exclamation point. You're like, I am here. It's great. It's awesome. Well, no pressure for anyone else to share if you don't want to, but thank you, Marcia, for sharing. So there's a lot of, like you said, there are a lot of gifts. It's extraordinary that what we get to contribute and being as sensitive and present to the experiences of the world and others, that naturally for many of us becomes part of what we even offer. It certainly is for me, right? And what I do in the world is work. And then there's all of these challenges. So I'm going to share with you a lot of things that I can recommend. There's a long list, really, of things we can do, practices. But it's all going to come back to one foundational piece. Like you could probably boil them all down back to one piece, which is connecting to ourselves. reconnecting to ourselves so fully. So even like Marcia, you're saying, for me as well, I will have energy of others in my space, in my field. And it could be kind of like out there, or it could be like right up against my skin, right? And then it's just interacting with me. So the art of disconnection and honoring that and giving ourselves true permission to compassionately disconnect in any number of ways. We talk about boundaries. We can put in many different terms, but really then it's all coming back to connecting to ourselves fundamentally, as in, it's okay. We're not actually being selfish. The selfish is, we sometimes think it's selfish, but we're meant to actually then reconnect and recenter so that we're able to then give more. Intuitively, I'm feeling called to say that, in this day and age right now, especially with what's happening in the world, a lot of people are having a hard time, as it's been expressed to me, of being empathic or empathetic about what's going on in the world, and that we should be present to it, and we are asked to remain present to what's happening, and we're also asked to stay in connection with our own peace, our own joy, our own fulfillment, our own self. And that is like, can be our saving grace, right? To then be more available to ourselves, but then being present to others. So we're going to do a meditation here in a little bit. It's one that I often do at the beginning of my classes, and a couple of you may recognize this from the past, but it really is something that I do consistently, which is connecting within and centering within. And that is a truly foundational piece, because it gives us the space to disconnect. The alignment journey in general asks us to honor our own alignment. That would make sense, right? And we're not necessarily supposed to overconnect with others. And what we can sometimes discover, although as you were so sharing so well, Marcia, is that, there's the we're just sometimes in conversation with people, we're there, we're resonating. There's that ripple effect. And then also, really having compassion for others. And we are nonetheless asked to stay within our own, field of alignment. And alignment is literally, two primary things when I'm talking about alignment, when I'm personally talking about alignment. It's a straight line. And then also it is a connection to the highest light. So there's actually like a line of light that goes all the way up. It goes through us and ultimately can even go down to the center of the earth. So that's a straight line. And when we're there and in presence with that, we are connected to our own source within. We're connected to our own creation. We're connected to our soul, which we'll do a little bit of connection to in our meditation here. So I wanted to give you just a few, excuse me while I scratch my nose, give you a few things in a list here that I wrote down, and because I gave you the description of what we were talking about, we're going to talk about. So what can you do to feel clearer? Well, clearing energy is a really, really important practice. I once read another channeler, and she said she had this desire and belief and hope that every single human being on the planet at some point in time in our future would have energy clearing as one of our primary tools. And I was kind of like, hurrah to that. And I believe that could be, who knows, what's, in 150 years in the future. But that said, that we have this, we have tools for clearing, which we won't have time for today. But also something we will do at the end of our class today is to always close the energy. So anytime that I'm in a session or I'm in a class, I always suggest closing the energy of that class as given by our higher self or our higher light, or whatever it is that you feel comfortable asking to support in doing that. So that just closes the energy, and we could even walk away from a conversation saying, okay, I'm going to just, kindly and lovingly ask that the energy of this conversation close. And that's an energetic. So usually when we're closing something or we're clearing something, energy starts moving. So we let the energy then move to let that actually close. I did write down getting out in nature. That might be something that you already know or do. I actually have clearing techniques that I use in conjunction with connection to trees, which is a very anchoring thing, a very grounding thing for me as well, being a channeler. Then learning to connect to your own energy frequencies so that you are familiar with your own energy frequencies. Obviously, I'm giving this to you in a list. We don't have time in 30 minutes to go through them all. But that said, there's, some things that you can note for future investigation. So that's connecting to our own aligned frequencies. Disconnecting from people energetically, really important, massive part of my practice. Significant part of my practice is to disconnect from people. So this evening, I will make sure that I am asking to be disconnected from everyone who I may have interacted with today. Not because I don't love you, but simply because, hey, time for bed, time for me to actually just be with me, right? I did write this one. This is an interesting one. This one took me a long time to learn, which is to identify who's interacting with you in your field. Very often when I have people interacting with me in my field, once it's identified who it is, it's much easier for me to say, okay, great, you need just to disconnect. And it gives me a little more strength to understand disconnecting specifically from that person. That one's not always an easy one to do. Sometimes we're like, well, I don't even know who's in my field. I have no idea, right? We can't quite distinguish that. That's fair. But if we're able to, it can be, I find personally, it can be helpful. And then of course, boundaries of all kinds, shapes and sorts. Boundaries, saying no to people. That's the practical, real life boundary, right? All the kinds of boundaries we set in real life, but then there's also the energetic boundaries, which is what we'll do a little bit of the foundation for here in the last 10 or so minutes. Okay. So taking care of ourselves ultimately, and just knowing that it's okay to disconnect. And then I did mention as well in the write-up that what's the path, what's the map, what's the journey. We are learning to anchor, we're learning to ground, we're learning boundaries in the alignment process. We're learning to heal a number of things. So the healing part, I'm definitely giving a whole bunch of stuff in 30 minutes here, but in the healing journey, we are healing emotions and we are healing consciousness. But when it comes to being an empath, sometimes what can be really hard on us are energetic attachments. So learning how to disconnect our attachments and heal whatever is within us that is causing us to be in that attachment, or whatever is causing us to go and in a connection with other people and letting people connect to us, that's leaving us actually not better served, but we're doing it because we just have a really deep emotional need for it, which is really, really, really understandable. For a lot of us, including me at many times, it's been loneliness. There's a lot of things that we may need, that we travel outside of our own self and energetically connect with others. So when we heal that, we can actually also stop. Ultimately, we heal like a wound, then that over connection to others can diminish. So lots more I could say, but hopefully perhaps if there was something in there that was the right little, whatever that was for you, the little, asterisks for you, maybe you heard something in that list. So let's just go in and do a meditation here in our last 10 minutes. And we're gonna center, and then we're going to close. We're gonna close the work so that you are then connected to yourself and you go into the next workshop or presentation. So go ahead and close your eyes. And just get present to yourself there in your center. I'll be watching time, Greg, if you would like to join us in this. Awesome. And just imagine around you is a clear, transparent cylinder. And it can be as far away from your body as you'd like. It can be some inches or some feet away from your body, whatever's comfy for you. And that cylinder is obviously going to travel around your body as you are seated. If you were standing upright, it would just be a cylinder around your body. And above you, this is just a temporary thing we do to reconnect to ourselves, which is we're just momentarily going to close off the top. Now, in some practices, that's not the thing to do. We want to not close off the top, but for right now, we're just going to close off the top. So the top of your cylinder, you're going to imagine that there's a plexiglass top. Great. And then at the bottom, wherever that cylinder ends below you, you're just going to close off the bottom with some sort of plexiglass, clear bottom. Great. Awesome. So I can feel the energy shifting already. Awesome. And then you're going to imagine your third eye right there in your center of your forehead. You're just going to imagine flipping that around for now. So where our psychic center is, our psychic scene, we often look outwards naturally also because we walk forward. We're just going to flip that around. So you're going to be looking within for a moment. And then the top of your head. So it's really common for those of us who have psychic or channeling gifts as well, to have the top or crown of our head very open. It's understandable, but we learn to sort of shift it a little bit over time. So you're just going to have that top of your head, sort of like, rather than the energy from you moving up and out, for just this moment, you're going to sort of flip the top of your head down. So you're looking down within. Again, this will just be temporary. Now you can do this with all of your chakras, all of your chakra points. But right now we're at least just going to go straight to the feet. So that Earth Star chakra. So you're going to imagine at the bottom of your feet, rather than the energy flowing through you and out, it's just the feet are sort of almost flipped the other way. So the energy is flowing in. Now, if you have any concern for creating stagnant energy, we're not going to keep this here. If you'd like to go through each of your chakras, you're welcome to. Now, you very well could have just, spent a lot of work opening your chakras. So you wouldn't want to close them again. We're not going to close anything. We can open it back up again. We're just going to get present to ourselves in our center. So at that heart chakra, we'll skip the throat for now. Just that heart chakra, just imagine that it's flipped around and inward for now. Now, it's a great little exercise to do when we're trying to give ourselves love too. We learn to sort of send that energy into us. Yes. Great. Good. And you can do that with any of your other chakras. You could do it with your solar plexus chakra. Flip it around if you'd like, and your navel chakra just below the belly button, if you'd like. Again, temporarily for now. We'll let it be free afterwards. But you might notice you feel a little more present to yourself there physically. So you're connecting to yourself even more. You can even let your energy drop down. I am still attentive to the time, so none to worry, everyone. We still have 5 minutes. We're good. So you can let your energy drop down if you'd like in your body. Now, just for a moment, you're going to allow your own energy to come into your cylinder. So you're not gonna pull it in, but you're going to invite your energy to really come into your cylinder. So you're very present there. Remembering that cylinder around you is energy tight. Notice if you feel even more connected to yourself. Giving yourself this little gift in the moment. If you'd like to find a place within your physical self, within your torso, rest there. And something channeled for you, just to be still within yourself for this moment. And this is the point: to calm the waters of thought, to calm energetic connection to others, and to even find the manifestation origination point within yourself. This is also the best place to begin to connect to your soul self. The container just simply acts as a measure for how big your energy is expanding out or moving into you. You don't want to limit yourself to the cylinder, but it's just a map. Just using it as a map right now to find where you belong within yourself. Because we do belong there within ourselves and within our fields. And you are allowed to expand gently outwards. However, when our connection is there with our internal self, we can simply and gently begin to let go of any rigidity. This cylinder also helps us to find our energetic alignment, or straight line upwards and downwards. Just give yourself a moment there. We still have time. Then gently begin to relax and release it. We are meant to be free and to flow, whilst emerging with integrity in the field of oneness within ourselves. And lastly, the cylinder is a safe space, a safe place, not in reference to anything not safe outside of you, but instead simply in the creation that your own space is a safe space for you, filled with love and oneness within you for your own being, your own light, your own source essence, and your own beginning point of inner truth. So place a hand on your heart now and simply say, I ask this meditation to now begin to close for me. Wonderful. All right, thank you, everyone. You open your eyes. If you want to wiggle your fingers and toes and stretch, you're welcome to. Thank you for gifting me with the chance to speak with you today. If you'd like to connect with me further and ask any questions, you're very welcome to. Bye, everyone.